I just find that a lot of smaller firms take their cue from larger firms, where actually there's this huge opportunity that the larger firms are passing up.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe the larger firms with the kind of budgets that they have, what they're not doing.
Yes.
It just boggles my mind for the amount of money that would cost them to get the kind of impact that they could get.
Yes.
So what are those issues with, you know, with firms and where they invest? Is it, you know, in their business?
Oh, that's such a very, like a big question.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. Look, I think the difference between large firms and small firms, in my view, is that small firms are usually, I want to say human driven, not that large firms aren't, but small firms are, a lot of it's weighted on the individuals and their profile and their business, right? So they're growing their profile and business. In large firms, they can hide behind the corporate branding, and the corporate branding is safe. It brings in work. They get work, you know, off the back of, you know, having a firm profile in the market and a well-known name. And we see that from the Beaton survey results, the Beaton research, you know, in terms of how well-known is your brand, would clients consider you? And, you know, brand awareness for most of those firms at the top end is high, right? It's very high. So smaller firms, again, they're looking potentially at building more of a personal profile. They can tell their narrative. And unfortunately, as a small business, you kind of got to do that. You can't hide behind your corporate branding because it's probably you at nighttime posting on social media or, you know, your assistant doing it. In large firms, again, there's such a weight between or a balancing act between growth and pursuits and, you know, how do you focus on the proactive stuff when you actually have enough reactive tenders and client work and inquiries coming in the door? Yeah. There is I think there's a more of a trend, and it's been coming for years, to be fair. It's not a new thing, but key client focus. And again, the Beaton research shows us a lot in the most recent one of our client surveys that marketing business development is a big focus of, say, top 50 firms and client engagement, client relationships. So focusing on key clients and trying to get more from those clients within those larger firms is a priority, and that's very profitable. Often it's, you know, quicker wins, they're stickier, it's good for their brand to be seen with these, you know, ASX listed and all the rest of it. Smaller firms don't have that. Again, they've got usually a higher churn, so smaller matters, smaller clients coming through more regularly, and again, it's human to human. I don't know that any large firm has it nailed, that it empowers their partners or people to build their own personal brand either. There's only a few, and actually, funnily enough, one of my Beaton partners asked this recently. He said, have you got any examples of some really fantastic or individuals who've built their personal brand well? And there's a couple, you know, top tiers, but they're kind of rogue. Yeah. The others have, you know, pretty much maintained.
It's such an opportunity. I sit here and think they're brilliant people. There's just some brilliant people out there who are, you know, engaging, have super interesting things to say, and they kind of, and the firms aren't leveraging that. Yep. And I understand that, you know, the worry about, you know, investing in someone for them to leave, but not an equity partner.
No.
That's the, like, and it can only add value to the business.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And this is where the advocacy piece comes in. So if you can find a way to encourage proactive advocacy and referral from inside your business, which is that most people say, oh, I'm uncomfortable shouting about what I've done. Yes, but your peers can shout about what you've done. Yeah. And, you know, your colleagues, your other partners can profile and say, we're so proud of this partner because they did such a great job. Look at the feedback from the client. That's not cringy. That's I'm proud of, and I'm showing, you know, I'm advocating for my peer. There's a culture report, again, a Beaton report, but the data shows that the number one driver for a legal services buyer to buy from a firm versus another firm, so choose one over another from a cultural perspective, is being client-centric, so if they can demonstrate that. The second one, very closely behind, but also top for women, if you segment by gender, is that they're good to their people. They take care of their people. They have, you know, engagement with their people. They're proud of their people, all of those things. So that's actually more important than people realise. So if there's these big, cold-looking brands where no one's shouting about their peers and saying how wonderful they've done, that's a huge lost opportunity.
Yeah, and I guess from a content and brand perspective, I see the behind-the-scenes aspect. I see demonstration of your process. I see even the quality. You mentioned, engaging other people in the business. I find that people don't want to share things because the quality of what they've got to share isn't very high. If it's a really great video or, a podcast or an infographic that talks about we helped X get to Y, and these are all of the cool things we did along the way.
Yes.
And what a great piece of work that was. That's infinitely more shareable for your team than I'm so humble to have worked on X deal. Here's a link to the Financial Review article on it. No wonder people aren't sharing that. Do you know what I mean? It's not that hard for a business that big to make really good things that people actually will share, because it's actually kind of valuable too. And then you create a bit of value around it, because it might be that aircraft financing deal, but it might be really cool. That was the first one since X, Y, and Z, and we structured X, Y, and Z through the Netherlands and this and that, and the parties in Cayman and this and that, and our team worked on this and that, and bang, we got it done. What an interesting deal. Way more. And
it builds consideration, and this is something that I think a lot of people, lawyers, professionals, people in professional services, need to focus more on, is how do they build consideration for aligned services. So within a large firm, if you are doing all of the work you're doing in employment space with this client, but they might have need of others, but they wouldn't consider your firm for that because you do their employment work. Aren't you just employment lawyers? I don't know what else you do. I don't know. I've got someone else over here who does litigation. If you can start to, as an employment lawyer, share and advocate for and profile what your peers are doing to your network online, which is probably I'd say one of the LinkedIn for legal services, one of the highest consumed channels. Absolutely, that's going to increase the opportunity for you to cross-sell to that person.
Yeah.
And if getting work from current clients is more profitable, less cost of client acquisition, all of those things, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But they don't.